Hey, there we are, and welcome to the Maple Minds podcast on this fabulous Tuesday afternoon. You'll see I'm alone today. Rob will be joining us momentarily. He is held up with family right now. Family first, always. I am Christy. Rob will be with us in a moment. That's Polly, who puts us on all of the platforms. We're live on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and TikTok. Have I missed any? I think that's good.
Nope.
Also, you can
You got it.
find sorry?
Oh, you got it for sure.
Okay. Pardon me. You can also find any of our old shows on our YouTube channel. We're live every Tuesday and Friday at 5 o'clock Pacific time. This upcoming Friday, we're gonna have a special guest, Frances. She's a friend of the show. She has been on before. I love trading opinions with her. That's Friday. Today, Rob and I, when he joins, we'll be talking about mostly Canada and a little bit of the United States. But first, I want to address something before Rob gets here, because I'm just going to yap until he gets here. And that's a video that I had put out. If you're on TikTok, check out my TikTok channel. And actually, I think Polly's going to put it on our YouTube channel, where I'm calling out a lot of social media creators because they were part of they had the influencer tags. They were engaged in the conservative convention recently that weekend. If they were just social media creators, like offering their opinion, I wouldn't pick on them. But they got together for this group photo and then I noticed in that group photo how much they echo each other's content. So for example, I've made a couple of videos already about the content that they're echoing for each other, and how many of them within that picture of 8 people have made the videos. And it's never the same combination. So it'll be like these 3 for this topic, it'll be these 3 for another one. Pardon me. The video I did today was about spreading misinformation about Carney and the Epstein files. So in this group of pardon me, social media creators that again were engaged in the conservative conference, it wasn't just that they had like the same kind of media passes, they had different passes than the media. It seemed like they had very generous access around the convention, where I believe the media was told to stay in the back, but I wasn't there. I don't know. But I do know that these guys that were all there as influencers all echo each other's content. So for example, the Epstein, pardon me, messaging was shared by 5 of them. Between 5 of these 8 people, they had 12 posts over just the weekend. And it was, they never say, oh, I think that Carney was involved with Epstein in a nefarious way, or I think Carney did anything bad with Epstein. They just put out more vague stuff so that they have plausible deniability. Well, I never said anything bad about Carney. It was just my comments. I just asked the question of, why is MSN pretending like it's not a big deal that he's in the files for 69 times? We know why. And MSN is talking about how his name appears in the files. And they say right in the subheadlines that it isn't anything bad, that it's just about headlines from when he was, the bank of, the governor for the Bank of England. Pardon me. And even one of the influencers had even taken that and said, how come MSN isn't even making a bigger deal of this? We know why they're not. And we know that all of those 5 people who shared it, we know that they can read. We know that they can tell why it's not a big deal. But they're playing ignorance. They're playing, oh, I don't know why they're playing, well, they're not a big deal. I'm just saying that Carney's name's in there 69 times and Pierre's name is in there no times. And again, 5 of them, 12 posts. Another thing that came out recently, the Jamil Javani story about how, Jamil Javani has done more for Canada than Carney has done. Look at Jamil go. We're just saying that Jamil is going and he's got this great relationship. That was pushed by half of them, by 4 out of the 8 of this one group of just 8 people who claim to have independent voices. Polly and I were having a bit of a talk before we went live, pardon me, about the harms of misinformation in general, but in specifically when it has to do with the Epstein files, considering the kind of information that is contained in the Epstein files, to bullshit about them, to pretend that, well, why aren't they treating Trump and Carney the same when the evidence is the same? The evidence isn't the same. And when you bullshit about it, it really takes away from what survivors have to go through. So if you're somebody who is sharing that, reconsider sharing what you share. See if stuff is credible first. Don't contribute to spreading misinformation that actively hurts survivors of this nature, even if they weren't a victim of or a survivor of Epstein. If they're a survivor of any of the types of crimes that were committed on that island, it affects them when people bullshit about stuff like this. So that's my little rant. Double check. Even if you find somebody credible, double check them. Double check them. You know what else? Since I'm on this rant of truth and stuff and Rob isn't here, I'm going to talk about something else that really bothers me on social media. And I have seen this from the left and the right, and it really bothers me. And I call it out all the time, no matter if I agree with this person or if I disagree with this person. And that is leaving up false information. I saw Ben Mulrooney, and Ben Mulrooney really dug in too. He put up false information about Hillary Clinton coming to headline or to be a keynote speaker at a liberal convention in this spring, and it wasn't true. So he made a comment to say, "Okay, I've learned that it isn't true. Thanks for the person who said it isn't true." But then he left it up there, and a bunch of us were saying, like, "Dude, you're leaving it up, and you're letting people still believe that it's true." So then he went on this big victim rant. So I believe that this was his intention of leaving it up so that he could play victim, so that he could be like, "Oh, I didn't do it the way you guys want to do, purity police bullshit." No, I'm criticizing you for leaving up information you know that is false, and without any disclaimer of this is not true. Another comment somewhere else, not attached directly on that comment, does nothing for the audience to let them know that it isn't true. And it's the same. It's just so much worse than, it's not true. It's not true. And then another guy from the left, one of the Krassteins, I don't know if you follow them, but they're usually really good for bringing breaking information and stuff. And one of those guys, Ed, I think, he left up bad information. It was about Liam. It was about the Bad Bunny show, and a lot of people left this up too, which bothers me. A lot of people said that they were really touched that he gave his Grammy to Liam. You can still say that it's a touching moment that he gave it to another kid if you recognize that that kid isn't Liam. And when I say Liam, they're talking about the 5-year-old named Liam who was in an ICE detention center in Texas. I believe he has since been released, but a 5-year-old separated from his mom, put in this detention center, horrific behavior by the American administration, in my opinion, and by ICE. But my point is, that's not the kid at the Super Bowl. It isn't. It's a different young looking, Latino looking kid. So if you said, I love that it was Liam, and then you didn't take that down, you can put up another post to say, I love that he gave it to that little boy. Why leave up bad information? And you might not think it's important. Who cares if it's Liam or not? Oh, Rob, good timing, buddy. I'm on a rant about the truth. Let me finish up my rant and then we'll start, because then we have just so much other bullshit to talk about as we talk about politicians. Right now, I'm talking about social media content creators on every side of the political spectrum, leaving up information they know not to be true. And I've done it before too. I have reposted something, and then when somebody says no, that's not true, I take it down. I don't just put up a comment to say I know it's not true. I do that as well. I put up a comment to say, hey, I posted something, turned out not to be true. That's why it's not there anymore. Don't leave it up. Okay, now my rant is over. Welcome, Rob. Glad you could make it.
Nice.
I gotta warn you, I'm on a war on bullshit. I opened the show by talking about Pierce cheerleaders and how much they bullshit. Then I talked about people who leave bullshit up. Now we're gonna dive into topics that every single topic that we have chosen to talk about today involves bullshit. Every single one. But I guess that's the world that we're living in right now. So we're going to start with asking Rob about his opinions on this bridge tantrum that Trump threw.
Oh, it's just another distraction, right? Just another distraction from the Epstein files. I mean, the stuff that's coming out, and the fact that they're still redacting half of it anyway. Like, I mean, it's craziness. It's craziness, and I mean, this whole bridge thing. I mean, he's like a little kid who's having a temper tantrum, who's just trying to, I don't know, lash out at everyone and anything. He gets in these bad moods, and you know what I mean? Like, he just gets in these bad moods when things don't go his way, and then all of a sudden, like, it's like, you know.
Well, I
remember I was when I was younger, I had a boss that was like that. Like, I had a boss that was like, literally, when they were in a good mood.
Like that too.
Yeah, when they were in a good mood, the world was amazing. Like, everything was good. You could do no wrong. Everything was fine. But when they were in a bad mood, like,
I'll be honest with you. I've had bosses like that. I have also been that boss. I'll admit it. If I could go back now, I would change it. But at the time, I was that boss. I remember that there would be times where I would come into my office and there would just be a lineup of Tim Hortons coffees. And that was kind of like, hey, Christy, why don't you just sit here and drink all these coffees and just stay away from everybody because you're being a giant bitch right now. That's how I read it. Anyways,
I feel like I was okay. I think there was times in my career where I had to go for a walk. Like, just go for clear your head, just get away. But
so I have a different theory. I have a different theory about the bridge thing.
All right.
Because I think probably you were out with your appointment with your family, and I think you probably missed the New York Times headline.
I missed everything.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. New York Times reported just a few hours ago that the billionaire who operates the Ambassador Bridge. So the bridge, what we're talking about, this bridge bullshit with Trump, is Trump threatened to not let the Gordie Howe Bridge be opened, which is a new bridge connecting Windsor, Ontario, and Michigan, where the Ambassador Bridge is. It's the largest crossing between our countries. It's the largest border crossing. The amount of business that is traded there is huge, and that's why the convoy picked that one. Inflict the most pain to get our message heard, and they did. They inflicted billions of dollars of pain on the Canadian economy by having that bridge blocked. Pardon me. And the Gordie Howe Bridge is set to help Michigan by something like $12 million. Anyways, the New York Times reported that the American billionaire that operates the Ambassador Bridge right now had a meeting on Monday, right before Trump came out with this, I'm going to block Gordie Howe because of something with China and the Stanley Cup or some bullshit. But they met with Secretary of the Howard Lutnick guy Monday. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe the people who make a shit ton of money from only that one bridge, maybe they don't want to share it. I don't know. I don't believe in coincidences. And when you have the billionaire that runs the bridge right next to it, having a meeting with somebody in Trump's cabinet, and then Trump comes out with this bullshit about how the Chinese are going to shut down the Stanley Cup. And by the way, I'm going to shut down this bridge. Bullshit. Total bullshit. And then Carney addressed it this morning. And Carney's such a cool cat, eh? You got Trump. Remember when you said, like, it depends on his mood, and he's, when everything's great, it's great, but when it's bad, you get erratic behavior. Carney's not like that. Carney's measured. He's like, yeah, that came up. We had to talk about it. We talked about a lot of things. He said that the ambassador is going to smooth things out. So I guess Hoekstra is going to call him, but that bridge it's going to open. It's going to open. He's not going to stop it, just like he's not going to throw 100% tariffs on us.
Yeah. That's actually interesting that that you heard that and that was brought up, because I mean that's definitely what it is, right? Especially if that's someone's making money off of that bridge, someone's making money off
I
of
think
the
so.
Ambassador Bridge, and it's an American businessman, an American billionaire that's making money off the bridge. I'm sure Donald Trump's probably like, hey, you give me some money, I'll make sure it shuts. You
I
know,
think Trump also probably doesn't want it to be called the Gordie Howe Bridge. He probably wants it to be called like the Gordie Trump Bridge or something.
but I mean,
And
Gordie
Caroline Levitt,
Howe
when she
played
talked
hockey
about
in Detroit. Gordie Howe played hockey in
yeah,
Detroit.
it's a great name.
It's
No, it is. It is.
it's
It
an
is.
homage to Detroit for the most part. I mean, obviously Gordie Howe's Canadian, but it's showing the links between being Canadian and
Yeah.
working in Detroit.
And so I want to squash some bullshit that he said about this too, because he said, well, first of all, Caroline Levitt came out and she at first she said Gordie Howie, but then she quickly corrected herself. If she didn't correct herself, could you imagine the backlash from the hockey community? I'm just saying. And she said, you know, we want to see more American materials be put in this. What the fuck are you talking about? It's already built. It's already built. It's in the end stages now of approval processes and stuff. But like, do you want to tear it down and start over with more materials? Canada paid for it 100% using unionized labor from both sides, using materials from both sides. And after the Canadians collect enough tolls to pay it off, then both are going to collect the money from it. He's blowing smoke. I don't believe it has to do with I don't believe there's a coincidence of the Ambassador Bridge billionaires meeting with Lutnick, who's all over the files, eh? That guy testified today too about how he was at Epstein's. Oh, we just stopped for lunch, me and my wife and all our nannies and all our kids. We were just there for lunch. After I said I was disgusted by him and I would never be in a room with him. It was just lunch on an island in the middle of nowhere. Nothing burger.
Yeah. What do you have for lunch?
So here's what I think happens with the bridge thing. I think he probably does. I think Trump doesn't bring it up again. I don't think he does. And I think that nobody thinks to ask, oh, hey, where's Trump with that bridge thing? Is that bridge going to still open? Is Trump going to still stand in the way? Because he's going to put out something else batshit. Something else is going to happen because something else always happens. In a normal timeline, we would still be talking about how he said quiet piggy to a woman. That's not even a blip anymore.
Yeah.
Not a blip.
I mean, that's the thing, right? He's going to be on to the next bright, shiny object. I mean, really, that's
The next
anything to distract from everything. And I mean, I just at this point, I just find it disheartening to even think that there's still supporters out there. I mean, that are still supporting him, like that still are like ride or die people. After all that's said and done, after everything that's coming out, after like the hypocrisy to everything he does, and yet there's people that are like, oh, he's still the best, and
I know,
really, like, come on, like what? I don't know, like it's almost like it's just the same thing as the Pierre Poilievre supporters. I mean, Pierre Poilievre obviously, is not in the Epstein files. He's never been invited to Epstein Island because, I mean, really, he's not really in a position to.
When you look at
when
you look at the money that was there and the powerful people that were there, I still think that Bannon was there planning shady shit. I really do. We'll find out one day.
I think so. I think so. But I mean, that's the thing, right? The supporters, the ride or die supporters, are the ones that just.
I know they're the ones that enable this. So did you see? And I know that I didn't text you about this part, but did you see the Ghislaine Maxwell? So let me just recap. Ghislaine Maxwell, who deserves to be in full security prison, like her crimes, she should be in a harder prison. So somebody would have had to authorize.
She wasn't she?
She was.
Before,
so she got moved. She got moved to a cushier one after talking with the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And then yesterday she testified. Well, she was supposed to testify, and her testimony went like this. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk. But if I did talk, I could clear Donald Trump. But in order to do so, I need to be free. She's
Yeah.
trading. Hey, Trump, I can clear your name. But here's the thing. Who's believing her? Who's
How
believing her?
can she
This woman
clear
has
his name?
perjury charges. This woman is a known liar who's saying, hey, I recognize that the president of the United States has his name all over those files and it doesn't look good for him. So I'll come out as a firsthand witness and I'll say, don't worry, you don't need to worry about him. And then I'll be free and everybody be happy. Total bullshit. If he lets it happen, that has to be the end of the support for him. I would hope. I don't think it would be. I hope.
No. Like, I mean, here's the thing. This guy is suing the government for the release of his tax files.
Returns. Yeah.
Yeah, tax return. So he's suing the government, and he's the one that's going to get to make the decision on the payout to himself. Like to himself. Like everyone knows he's essentially suing the government and making the decision to give himself the money.
Yeah.
And nobody's going, that's crazy. Everyone's like, well, whatever.
Well,
They shouldn't have released them.
But the reactions, I think, what is shared publicly, I think, is perhaps controlled and maybe muted a little bit. But there is support for him still. I can't even believe it, especially after what ICE has done. And I watched a director of ICE testify a little bit today, just a couple clips. And like they're asking them, like, hey, has anybody been let go over this or disciplined? He's, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. They're not going to get back to you. They're not going to get back to you, just like Kash Patel's never going to get back to anybody about opening an investigation into why the Epstein estate forged Donald Trump's birthday wishes, because it's bullshit. I don't believe they've let anybody go or disciplined them. I think that they probably just moved them. But the fact that they wouldn't admit to anything, and now tomorrow, the queen of not going to answer is supposed to testify. Pam Bondi is supposed to testify. She's not going to say anything. She's going to show up with notes on the people who are questioning her on attacks that she can give to them. She's not going to say anything, but something else in the courts, I believe, are happening tomorrow. I think the Supreme Court, don't quote me on this because they keep saying it and then they keep don't doing it. They keep not doing it. The Supreme Court ruling on the legality of the tariffs tomorrow meeting.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe something else comes up and they're like, we'll just push this one off. And I would argue with you that I think Kristi Noem is one of the queens of not answering anything too. So I think they're fighting for supremacy. I think her and Pam Bondi might like go head to head as far as the queens of not answering.
Okay, I got another one. I see your Kristi Noem, and I raise you another Pam Bondi when she was asked about Tulsi Gabbard. So Tulsi Gabbard, did you see that she went down to Georgia in the voting office or something?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
they said, like, who sent you here? And she's like, Trump sent me here. And then Trump's like, I didn't send her. Pam Bondi sent her. So then they asked Pam Bondi, hey, Gabby says that Trump sent her, and Trump says that you sent her. Who actually sent her? Well, I can tell you that we're really close. We're attached at the hip. You know, when we're on the road, we're close. We're attached at the hip. We are so close. And she was there. I can say that she was there. And when we travel, we're attached at the hip. And that's all I can say about that. I'm not kidding. That's how it went. I'm not kidding. Would not say. We could do this. We could do this all night, though. But let's move into Canada.
They're so good, man. They're so good at it. Like
you know what? Let me tell you something. These people, I know that they've only been in these positions for like the last year or whatever. They have been being trained for this for years. Oh, I'm telling you. Anyways,
the best. They're the best in the business. They really are. Yeah.
So now we're going to cross the border and we're going to talk about Canadian bullshitters instead of American bullshitters. Sorry, Polly. Polly wants me to swear less. My bad. Let's talk about first. So the Global Mail had put out a headline, which a lot of the peer cheerleaders pushed. 7 of the 8 cheerleaders from that little picture at the Conservative convention pushed that we're going to have an election soon. We're going to have an election soon. They're talking about an election. Look at Carney's talking about an election. If you read the article, Carney's like, I don't want an election. Ford said, apparently Ford's like, hey, if you did an election, you could probably get a majority right now. Because the polls, I don't know if you've seen them, some polls have liberals with over 200 seats. And I do believe that they would get a majority, but I think that it would get a lot of Canadians pissed off at liberals because I think we have election fatigue. So you got all these conservatives going, oh, there's going to be an election, without hearing Carney say anything about election. And in fact, the article saying that Carney's office said, no, that's not for us. This is what I think. I think it's a bluff. I think purposely somebody leaks that to the press so that everybody can get all excited about an election at the time where he's really good with the polls, so that maybe some conservative MPs who are like, hey, look at this guy who's BSing about the GM severance and who's BSing about Bill 9, and he hasn't changed his BS tactics, and look at how crappy he's doing in the polls. If we go to an election right now, do I keep my seat? Do I keep my $220,000 a year salary? Or do I lose to a liberal because those guys are way more popular than I do? I think it's a bluff. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
I think it's definitely outside the box. I think, but I could see it. I could see it because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, I thought that we would see some floor crossers already after everything. I mean, I could see it being a bluff, or I could just see it putting the moose head in the room. Like, I mean, because everyone's talking about it. I mean, everyone sees, like, hey, there is a potential there. I'm not a fan of polls. Polls to me are almost like attendance records.
I think polls, I think they're good. I think that in politics, they're important, just like a P&L would be important to a business.
But here's the thing, is I still think, I think of P&L. I mean, you've got your numbers. Your numbers are your numbers. A poll can be subjective.
Polls are for politicians.
But it's subjective, though. Who's answering the polls?
The polls I don't like are the ones they run on Twitter.
Yeah,
they run a poll on Twitter. It's always
are you kidding me?
Right leaning. If they
here's the thing, I don't answer poll questions. I don't answer poll questions. So I never answer a poll question. They're like, oh, who are you? I'm like,
I'm talking about reputable polls. I'm talking about Nanos. I'm talking about.
But do they get everyone? Do they get the young people? Are the young people on the polls? Because if conservatives are targeting young people,
just looking at one poll, I would agree with you. But because there's so many different ones, I disagree with you. And I think it's important, if you're a politician, to have. And I'm not as familiar in polling, so I don't know where they get their sample sizes or where they get their audience from, but I do follow their success rates and their accuracy levels, and I do think that a politician who isn't paying attention in between elections to the temperature out there, how much people are, you can't go by social media. Social media is totally fake. How else do you know and I don't even think you can go by people in person too, because I think people in person might be one way to your face and a different way at the polls. I think that polls are a good, not 100%. I think they're an indicator. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting the same sort of grouping from, say, 1 month to the next, and it's a similar sample, then you but here's the thing is, if there's similar samples, then you can see the fluctuation in I don't know, popularity, right? Because you're like, well,
it's similar, but I think it would.
But if you have completely separate people, then the ups and downs could just be based on where you've done your polling.
But I think that we're making
I don't know.
We don't know how it works.
I don't know how it works either, and I'm only guessing. But my guessing, I feel like, is the same as the polls. Like, I think I'm
going to find out, and I'll let you know on Friday. And when I can disagree with you and say, no, this is how they work. Anyways,
no, honestly,
that's what I think. I think it's. Sorry, go ahead.
Do the research, please. Do the research for me so you can teach me something. Because for me,
you're wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
I just feel like polls are just, I mean, yeah, maybe you can use them as an indicator because all of a sudden you're seeing one person jump through the roof. But I mean, we saw Polyev jump through the roof and then all of a sudden it all fell apart. And
but
we
you could see
saw it kind of
why. You
sort
could
of,
see
yeah, and
it's not
100%.
like it was all just. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying 100%. You can see why. We all saw why. I mean, everyone, like
So do you think that
myself
they're
included,
inaccurate?
definitely changed their votes based on, based on what we saw. That's for sure.
I think the
Um,
average, I'll be honest with you, I think the average Canadian doesn't pay attention to polls. I don't believe that the polls are important to average Canadians. I don't believe polls are important to the voters. I believe polls are important to the politicians. That's a
yeah,
difference.
just like crowd sizes.
All right. Did you see Pierre straight up lying about the GM severance?
Oh, like I'm so baffled that there's anyone out there that has no clue of how things work when it comes like so I get it. Pierre Polyev, he's in a bubble. Like he has no clue how the real world works. And yeah, the government taxes his income. So in his mind, the government taxes everyone's income, but they don't really. Like I mean, let's face it. It's the payroll from the company that determines the tax rate that they pull off of your check.
No, the
It's
CRA does.
but it's still the payroll people do it.
The payroll people do it, but it's the CRA rules who determine how much it is, and it's 30%.
No, but we could change our allotment of taxes. Like you can
Anybody can.
yeah, so like we could have done that.
But on a lump sum, what I'm saying is that on a lump sum, it's set at 30. If you have a lump sum that's over a certain amount, I think that the highest is like 30. If
Well,
you're
yeah,
somebody
because
who's
you don't
making,
know. You don't know how much you're going to make that year now, and it is a large amount of money. And if you turn around and you get another job, now you're making so much more money than you were before because you've got this lump sum and you still got another job. So why would you not want it taxed to the fullest?
so his
What?
point was that they need the money right now.
Oh,
So
man.
if it's a lump sum for your severance, it isn't money that you would have right now anyways,
Yeah.
because you're being paid out for service in the future that you're not completing.
Yeah.
I think that this is a dick move because I think it's just showboating to say, oh, look at, I think it's setting the Liberals up for failure. First of all, he lied. It's not just the Liberals who are taking it. It's partly federal and partly provincial, and the Ontario province isn't run by Liberals. And again, it's not over 50%. He isn't talking about anybody else who's laid off, like nobody else has ever been laid off. It's just this group of people. So is he suggesting that, okay, don't take the holdbacks or take a smaller amount of holdback now, and then when they file their taxes, they're going to have to pay way more to catch up? Or should they pay less taxes than everybody else in Canada? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's not.
Well,
That's
that's the
it.
thing.
And when he doesn't give those details and he's just saying, oh no, they should pay lower taxes, when he never intends for this to go through. He knows what it would take for it to go through. It's not going through. And it would have to be for everybody and not just one group of people. He's setting them up so that when it doesn't happen, he can say, you see that? You see that? Those liberal elites, they don't care about you. They don't care that you're broke. That's what it is. It's just total bullshit.
Yeah, I honestly, it just goes back to, and I think I commented on this, or I basically just said, he's pandering to the public, trying to sensationalize this thing. But really, we're missing the whole point of these people lost their jobs, and now you're showboating it for political gain while people are not happy. Like they lost their jobs, and you're using this to sort of have a platform for yourself to try to re-stick it to the Liberals when it's not really the Liberals. It has nothing to do with them in any sort of way. But no, let's not show compassion for all the people that just lost their jobs. Let's just start pandering
And
and using it, like using their misery to just be like, haha, look at me and the Liberals are bad. And it's all a lie on top of it. I mean, it's a complete fabrication of the
complete.
truth.
And he's getting what would happen if you're one of those people and you honestly believe that this guy cares about your income and you count on that, and it's
Yeah.
not going to happen. And then that's why I think it's a dick move.
Yeah, because he knows nothing can be done about it. and he's just using it for his own political gain. And that's using somebody's misery, somebody's misfortune for your own political gain. And if people don't see that, then they're blinded to it too. They might as well, believe Trump's innocent in the Epstein files too. I mean, like you might as well just be part of this whole weird bandwagon of jumping on
No,
these,
we want less
people's
people on the
coattails.
bandwagon, not more.
No, I'm just saying that's where they are at. If they can't see through this garbage, then that's where they're at. I mean, plain and simple. Yeah,
Well, and I'm
unfortunate.
kind of, I wish that the media would be a little bit more candid about what's happening.
No,
Like the headline was that conservatives want less taxes for these people. The
yeah,
headline should be Polyev lies about their severance in an attempt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But I mean, the media is all right wing controlled, right? I mean, it's
a lot of it's
conservative
American
controlled
control.
media. Even though the funny thing is, all the ultra right wing people are like, yeah, it's left wing media. It's
Well,
not.
if you look at what
It's not.
if you look at what happened in the States with their media, you've got a lot of restricted access for traditional media, and that access is now being given to social media content creators. There's a woman named Laura Loomer who she's allowed in the Pentagon, but like the Associated Press isn't. That's what they want to do. They want to get rid of traditional journalists and replace them with puppets who are just going to say whatever you want them to say.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
terrifying.
like, yeah, well, but I mean, that's what Polyev wants to do too. I mean,
I think
he
so.
doesn't take interviews like and I mean, he can't take an interview where he doesn't know the questions ahead of time because he looks like a fool, so like so that's what he does. He doesn't do it. He doesn't do those things, but maybe he would sit down with Mario, you know what I
He
mean?
sat down with
And
Pleb on Christmas or
no,
Boxing Day, sorry.
same thing, right? I mean, that's
But he phones them personally. He
yeah,
does. Yeah,
yeah.
a lot of them have posted about how he has phoned them personally. And like I said before you joined, these people claim to be independent voices, but
No.
they only ever engage with people who agree with them. They only cheer for Pierre. They only slam Carney. They don't like. We all have bias. I totally have a bias. I completely admit my bias, but I'm consistent. If I'm going to call bullshit on somebody over here, I'm going to call bullshit on somebody over here too. I'm not going to it's not a team sport. They're not the Canucks. I will cheer for the Canucks no matter what. And if anybody's following hockey right now, you know how painful it must be to be me. The Canucks absolutely blow right now. They're so bad. They're
Team Tank,
so
Team
bad right
Tank.
now. They're
Let's
so
go.
bad. But
I
I
mean, I've been
cheer
a
for
Canucks
them.
fan my whole life, so I
I'm
mean, I know the
I'm going to
pain.
cheer for them. I'm going to cheer for them no matter what. I'm not going to do that in politics because politics isn't sports.
No,
Politics is putting people in place that are going to take action that affects my life. I'm not sticking with the same person no matter what. I think that's dangerous.
yeah, I'm open. I'm open to everything, and I think that's sort of how people should be. And I think you need to hold the people accountable. Actually, if anything, I feel like we need to hold the people that we respect even more accountable for their actions because of that respect for those people. And am I biased for certain things? Yeah, Pierre Polyev. I'm gonna, I could never vote for that guy. I never ever could. I will never be a supporter of his. So is that a bias? I guess maybe. But it's yeah, at the same time though, is if Mark Carney was doing things that I didn't agree with, I would call it out. And I wouldn't placate him in any sort of way just because I don't want anyone to think that there's a sign of weakness there or any of that stuff. I mean,
I
who
also
cares?
wouldn't bullshit for him. I wouldn't bullshit for
Oh
any
yeah.
of them.
No, never.
Absolutely
Never.
not.
That's garbage.
Okay, so speaking of bullshit, another bullshit that came out again from the conservatives. Two of the Andrews bullshitted about the hate bill, the hate speech bill. They both said that Mark Miller said they both Andrew Scheer and Andrew Lawton both stated that Mark Miller said that he's going to criminalize quoting scripture. Oh, the poor Christians won't be allowed to quote scripture at all. And they left out the part where he said if you're using it to defend a hate crime, you're going to get prosecuted. So they left the whole hate crime. Oh, you're just not allowed to quote scripture. Like if you get caught quoting scripture, you're going to be thrown in jail. No, if you say, I think all gay people should die, and then quote something from the Bible, that should be criminal. And that's they're leaving that out. And that was his exact quote. That's not me saying, oh, it's my opinion. That was Mark Miller saying, if you say this and then quote Leviticus, you should be prosecuted. And they're saying, oh, no, it's just anybody who quotes scripture. Why?
That's using your religion to spread hate or
Yeah.
to
Nobody's saying don't be religious. Nobody's saying don't talk about your religion. Nobody is saying don't quote your religious book. They're saying if you use your religion as an excuse to bring harm to somebody else, then you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's kind of the first I heard about it. I guess I was under a rock for the last little bit, but honestly,
I think it's just from today. It's just from today. Yesterday. I'm a nerd who lives on the internet. That's why I know.
Here's the crazy part is, I think that if you use religion or you use, any other sort of like books or anything to propagate hate towards someone, you should be prosecuted for it. I mean, plain and simple. Like I don't care what you're quoting, but if it's to to go to try to create this hate for an individual or a group of people, you need to be dealt with 100%. I mean, I don't care what it is. What's that?
If you're a religious person and you're fighting so hard to want to hate other people and use your religion, like maybe you want to reconsider your religion. I'm just saying. Saying. And I really like that Mark Miller stated that he was Christian too. I think that the religion conversation has more credit coming from somebody else who's religious. I'm not religious. Nobody's going to believe me. Other religious people look at me and they think I'm wrong. I think they're wrong too, but they're not going to believe me. I have no credit with them when it comes to this. So I'm glad that other religious people are talking about it. I think that that's the only people that other religious people are going to listen to. I don't think they're going to listen to me at all.
There are a lot of people that quote scripture and like in the Bible, it says don't eat shrimp or pork, but they're quoting scripture while they're eating shrimp and pork. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think some people pick and choose what they want. I'm not a religious person, and I never really have. I sort of seen too much in religion that it does not appeal to me in any way. I do see. Yeah, I do see the value. Like I do see the value in like sort of church groups and things that promote unity and a sense of community where people would go together and have those community values. But my problem is when you look at a lot of religions, and I mean, if I was going to be anything, I'd probably be Buddhist. But if you look at a lot of religions, and it's true, I would probably. There's always these things that come up where they propagate hate towards certain people, or hey, this religion's bad, or that religion's bad, or these people are bad because it says so here. I still remember to get married in a church way back in the day. We had to do this church group thing where we had to go to like these church classes. I know it's weird, but in those classes, and they literally were talking about how the woman should be subservient to the man and make sure that there's food on the table and create a good home for them and I was like, I was raised by a single mom and who did everything, and a grandma like who was amazing, and I thought to myself, like, who are these, like, what world are we living in that there? And I go, how is a religion? Like, how can you take a religion seriously if it's basically saying that, this entire sect has to be, subservient to the man, and it is what it is. And there might be people like, oh, whatever. But I find it weird. Like, I find it weird that there's people are not equal. in the eyes of religion. You know, especially if anyone's like talking about, you know, the LGBTQ community. They're human beings. They're people. They're people like you and me. Like it pains me, and it makes me sick to my stomach to think that a religious, you know, group or certain religions would find those people to not be worthy of the same thing that you and I are worthy of. And for me, all those things make religion not real to me. I think it's just a cult. I think every single one of them is a cult, and they've got their own whatever portion to it. And you know what? Until there is a religion that basically just says peace and love, and everyone's together, and you know, we're all one happy family,
Okay,
and we should.
it's the extreme of religions that are the problem. The ones that say women should be you know what I'm trying to say?
Subversive.
Yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing is, oh, sorry, yeah,
That's okay. And that, you know, that we need to bring back conversion therapy, that that women must obey their husbands. In, you know, that's what we used to say in our, do you remember? To honor and obey, to honor and obey. Do you remember?
that's weird stuff.
Oh, in the vows.
Yeah, that used to be our vows, to honor and obey, and then women started saying, no, I'm not doing that. Take that out. Do you remember?
Yeah. I remember having a conversation. I was in a live a long time ago with a strong misogynist who was talking about how life was better in the old days when, you know, when women had a role and a man had a role, and nobody was trying to, you know, cross roles or whatever. The woman stayed at home and took care of the warriors, and her job was just to take care of her warrior and to make new warriors, and his job was to go out and be the warrior. And I'm like, okay, first of all, like, what fucking year is it? I think instead of trying to control people and telling people how, like, this is the role you're playing. We're not in a play, we're not in a movie, this is life, and this is your only shot. Doesn't matter what you believe, doesn't matter if you believe in reincarnation or heaven or just nothing afterwards. This is your only chance to be Christy or Rob or Polly. That's it. And I don't want somebody else telling me how I have to do that. And I think society in general, instead of trying to force everybody back and saying, no, 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 we're going to go back to the way that it was before, look at the way that society is progressing and then figure out how to adapt to it. Yeah, the way that you did things in the 50s are going to be different now because people aren't playing these specific roles anymore. Okay, look at how people want to be living now and adjust accordingly. Quit trying to control people.
You know what's really funny is it kind of takes me back like 30 years ago when I was, you know, a poli-sci student, and I wrote this paper about something. But anyway, I quoted this one philosopher. His name was David Hume, and way back in the day, this David Hume basically saw the hypocrisy of religion, and he basically sort of said, "Why are people trying to pretend they're good so that they could get some heavenly reward in the end?" He goes, "What happened to just being a good person to be a good person? Like, why do you need a reward?" Well, yeah, why do you need a reward to be good? I thought it was quite comical. But that being said, you know, you go back to the Dark Ages, and I'm pretty sure that where it came from, so that people weren't continually doing what they were doing. But who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, I think everyone should just be a good person for being a good person. Just be a good person. Treat people well.
You said that you wish that there was a religion where everybody was just, you know, like, wanted to be unified and peaceful with each other. Did you watch the Bad Bunny show?
Of course I did. Of course I watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Of course I watched
Sorry, it
that.
wasn't the Bad Bunny show. It was the Bad Bunny halftime show or whatever. So a few things. I think that was the message. And when you were talking about, you know, this sort of naive version of a religion, that's what I took from his. And I think everybody in Canada smiled a bit bigger when he shouted out Canada.
Well, it's because that's what we understood. We're like, oh, he's in Canada. I know that word.
I didn't understand anything he was saying, but you know what? And that's not my type of music. Loved the show. I loved it. And I loved the message of unity and everything. And I think that, I don't know if I'm being naive now. So you've got this great halftime show that all the right wing is complaining about, but they all watched it. They all posted before about how everybody needs to boycott this,
Yeah.
boycott this, boycott this. And then so if you're boycotting it, how do you know how bad it was? And they were playing it at Trump's Super Bowl party too, which was funny. Anyways, you've got Bad Bunny with this unity message. You've got Stephen Harper with more of a unity message. And I think I said on the last show too, I think that was a bit of a, hey, Pierre, this is what you need to be doing. Public nudge. Do you think, am I just being naive, or do you think it is possible that integrity might be making a bit of a comeback, and people recognizing other people for being people and not this divisive shit and not this supporting dehumanizing stuff? Or am I being naive?
I don't think it's making a comeback. I think it's always been here, but it's being overshadowed by the absolute absurdity that's happening in the world today. I mean, I thought the halftime show was fantastic. I mean, obviously I didn't understand it, but it's music. So music, you don't necessarily have to know all the words. I mean, I heard a clip of the Kid Rock one, and I didn't understand what he said either. So I mean, it is what it is. But here's
Oh
the
my
thing.
God. Kid
But
Rock.
yeah,
The Kid Rock,
but
did you
here's
see the clip of him explaining it about how they had to pre-record something, but he wouldn't lip sync to this or whatever? Like, dude,
no, I don't.
it was
I
bad.
didn't.
Sorry,
I didn't
Rob.
pay any attention to it.
We
But
interrupted you.
yeah, no
Sorry.
worries. Yeah, but I found the messaging, and I found just the overall performance to be fantastic. And I mean, I love a good beat, and I like to dance a little, as you probably know.
I do.
And and I loved it. I mean, I thought it was there was some powerful messages in there, and learning even more about some of the little scenarios within that performance, about the background to them, and the history, or the meaning behind some of them, I thought was phenomenal. Like, and I can't even put into words sort of how I felt watching it, probably because of the divisive nature of what was happening wherever else, I don't know, Turning Point, whatever it is. I enjoyed it, actually, and I saw a TikTok video clip from one of the guys who does like the NFL stuff. I mean, he must do other stuff. His name is Rich Eisen, and he had a phenomenal take on it. And I can't even repeat it because it was so good. I would suggest people to listen to him on that clip that he had. But it is about peace. It's about unity. It's about harmony. It's about history. It's about yeah. It's not necessarily your history of a white person in Minnesota, or a white person in North Dakota. It's not your history, but it is a history of someone else. It's their history. It's their culture. And it's part of the American landscape. I mean, he's showing his culture to the world, of how he was raised in America as an American citizen.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is their life. This is their, their snippet of the world, and what they know as being American. And it's not your America, and it's not their America. It's their, well, not their, it is their America, like, and I thought that was powerful. I think it's powerful. And then anyone who disparages that, that performance needs to wake up. You got a glimpse. No, because you got a glimpse into another person's life, and how they grew up in America, and what that looks like. And you know what? They should feel like blessed to have had that
America.
experience, to see that and be part of it, because some people will never get to experience another culture and another part of the United States that some people will never ever visit. And that's why movies You have movies that show different experiences throughout different people's histories, different ethnicities, histories, and we watch those movies and we go, wow, that's phenomenal. So how could we not watch this performance and see that slice of their history and their lives and not go, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Thank you for bringing that to the world stage.
There's two people that took hits on that, Jake Paul and Beth Frankel or whatever.
I think there's another one. Yeah,
Jake Paul
wake
lives
up.
in Puerto Rico too. Just saying.
Yeah.
I think that's the hilarious part.
So remember earlier when I mentioned Laura Loomer? She was a social media content creator who now is an independent journalist who goes into the Pentagon and stuff. She was very critical of the Bad Bunny show, and she said, and I quote, "It wasn't white enough," and she capitalized the W in white. I think that's a bullshit take. I think that America is not just white people. I think anybody who just should.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and she was getting going too.
I
You could
know.
tell. You could tell,
Darn
like
it.
she was like, "This is going. Like here we go." I don't know if she's
Got
still
a phone
going.
call, everybody. I think
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Did you get a
No,
phone
I
call?
was like, I was looking
you see
forward
me?
to what you were saying.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
see you now.
Sorry, I froze and I was on a
Yeah.
rant too.
You were. I was excited. I'm like, "Where's
How
this
long
going?"
were you ranting before you noticed?
I don't know. Did I get to Canada yet?
No.
Because
I
I
don't
said
think so.
I think the same thing about Canada. I say any time who suggests that Canada or the United States should just be white, like you just sound ignorant. You just sound ignorant. That's not how our country started. And if you
No.
want to just have it like that now, then you're just a racist. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canada's always
period.
been Canada and the United States, they've always been melting pots, especially in
Not a
large
melting pot.
cities.
United States wants to be a melting pot, but Canada is more of a mosaic. And the difference is
Oh, okay, I
a
guess
melting
so.
pot would become like each other. And that's what a lot of people are saying. Well, if you come, you have to act like me. And I disagree. I think that Canadian culture is getting along with, despite our cultural differences. You see different cultures
Yeah.
being predominant in certain parts of Canada, and you can see their culture expressed more. It's still Canada, it's just a different part of Canada, and it doesn't make it any less Canadian. I remember in my neighborhood a couple of years ago, there was a family that was new to Canada. I believe they were from India, and the leaves were falling. I have a beautiful neighborhood, a gorgeous neighborhood that when the leaves are falling, all the oranges and reds, and it was beautiful. And they got out, they're like, what's going on? And they went back inside and they changed into like ceremonial sort of costumes, and they went out and they were doing dancing, and it was amazing. It was like, for me, it was like a juxtaposition of Canadian culture and Indian culture. Everybody, and like all my neighbors were like, we're all just smiles. We all loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. I love learning about differences from my neighbors, that we can still be neighbors and have differences. We don't all have to be the same.
Yeah.
That's
It
what
actually,
makes us a proud Canadian.
yeah, it takes me back when I was a teenager. I forget exactly how old, but I was a teenager, and I lived in these projects, low cost housing. And I remember an Iranian family moved into the projects, and the husband, wife, and a couple young kids. And I remember the dad was outside just hanging out in the grass, like reading and trying to do these things. And he asked me a question about one of the things, and I went over and he was like practicing his English, so he was trying to learn English. He was trying to do whatever, and I actually for the next few weeks I helped him. Like, so we sat, and not that I was like some amazing scholar in any sort of way, but I'm pretty decent. So yeah, and he invited me into his home with his family. He like gave me all these different like foods and like trying all these different. It was the first time I ever tried pistachios, believe it or not. I mean, that sounds kind of weird, but I was a teenager. I never had pistachios before, and just sort of being like invited into that culture. It was pretty awesome,
I think it's pretty awesome too. And let me tell you something that I know about Persian people and pistachios. I remember a friend of mine who grew up in Iran said that Persian people, I mean, I don't know if this is just in her social circle or if this is a Persian thing, but she said that they would leave out the shells so that people would know that they had money because pistachios are so expensive. And so when you leave out the shells, you're kind of like, oh, look at how much money I have. I can afford pistachios. And every time somebody that I knew would go and visit Iran, I'd be like, can you bring me pistachios? Because the pistachios from Iran, they're different than North American pistachios. They're stickier. They're good. Anyways, we're not talking about pistachios. We're not talking about politics anymore. We're wrapping it up. Went fast again. Just a reminder to everybody else. I don't know if anybody saw my announcement yesterday, but on our Friday show, Francis is going to join us again. We'll probably be talking about relations between Canada and the States, unless anything crazy happens between now and then, which it probably will. And then we'll talk about that too. And we'll talk about Pierre's direction that he's taking, and that'll be Friday at 5 o'clock Pacific with our special guest Fran, and I will be there, and Rob will be there, and Polly will be there.
Maybe.
And we will see you on Friday. If you have anything that you want to see us talk about, make sure you leave a comment on our YouTube or our TikTok page. And if you aren't following the YouTube, make sure you do. That's all I got.
We only
Now
need
I'll say
50
goodbye.
more on YouTube. We're at
Sorry?
450.
Yoo-hoo!
So we
Nice.
need 50 more.
Goal of 500.
I might be there on Friday. I might not because I'll be out of the country. So we'll see what's happening that day.
Rob is
Gotcha.
supposed
If
to try
not, then it'll just
pistachio.
be me and Francis. Girl talk.
Rob is supposed to try pistachio pudding for some reason.
Pistachio pudding?
I love pistachio pudding. No, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Gift, Matt.
Yes.
Thank
Feel
you for the
free
gift.
to send treats. Kidding, we don't even have a PO box.
Pistachio ice cream, pistachio pudding. I'm in.
Pistachio ice cream is absolutely 100% my favorite ice cream in the whole world. I love pistachio ice cream.
I need. Oh, okay, never mind. We're good.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
We reached the
We'll
goal.
see you Friday.
Thank you, everybody.
Hopefully, Rob. If not, we'll see you next Tuesday, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
maybe I'll still be traveling.
Message me.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.